The text came 3 weeks before Christmas, from my sister Rachel. No hi, no explanation, just a command. Don't come to Christmas this year. David's parents are hosting at our place, and they're very traditional. It'll be easier if you're not there. I stared at those words, read them twice, 3 times, trying to understand how my own sister was uninviting me from Christmas at a house I legally owned. She had no idea. For 2 years, she'd lived in what she called her dream home in the suburbs of Chicago, decorated it, renovated the kitchen, planted a garden, hosted dinner parties where she told guests about her amazing investment. What she didn't know, what I'd never told her, was that I'd bought that house, purchased it outright when she couldn't qualify for the mortgage, put it in an LLC to keep my name hidden, let her believe she'd achieved it on her own. And now she was banning me from Christmas, in my own property, to impress in-laws who thought she was self-made. I texted back 5 words. We need to talk, in person. Her response was cold. There's nothing to discuss. This is my house and my decision. That's when I knew. It was time for Rachel to learn the truth. If you've ever been excluded by family who took your help for granted, stay with me until the end. Your support means everything to me. Hit that subscribe button and let me know in the comments. Have you ever had to set boundaries with entitled family members? Let's talk about it. Now, back to my story. I'm Olivia Barrett, 32 years old, and I've spent most of my adult life cleaning up after my younger sister's mistakes. Rachel is 28, 4 years younger, and she's been the family favorite since birth. The pretty one, the charming one, the one our parents constantly excused and enabled. Growing up, I was the responsible daughter. Straight A's, scholarships, worked 2 jobs through college, graduated with a degree in software engineering, and landed a position at a tech startup that went public 3 years later. My stock options made me a millionaire by 26. Rachel, meanwhile, dropped out of college twice, changed majors 4 times, accumulated student debt for degrees she never finished. Our parents paid for everything, draining their retirement savings to fund her journey of self-discovery. When I suggested she needed to take responsibility, I became the bad guy. The judgmental older sister who didn't understand that everyone's path is different. I learned to stay quiet, built my wealth silently, invested in real estate, created multiple income streams. By 30, I had a net worth approaching $8 million. Rachel didn't know any of this. To her, I was just her boring older sister with a tech job. Someone who lived in a modest apartment and drove a 10-year-old Honda. Someone whose life looked small and unremarkable. I preferred it that way. Let her think what she wanted. I had no need to prove anything. Then 2 years ago, Rachel met David Thompson, a pharmaceutical sales rep from a wealthy Connecticut family. Old money, country club memberships, the kind of family that judged people based on zip codes and alma maters. Rachel was desperate to impress them, to prove she was worthy of their son, to show she came from success, not the middle-class reality of our upbringing. She started rewriting our family history. Suddenly, our father wasn't a middle school teacher. He was in education administration. Our mother wasn't a bookkeeper. She was in finance. Our childhood home wasn't a modest 3-bedroom ranch. It was a classic suburban estate. I watched her construct this fiction and said nothing. It wasn't my place to call her out. Let her have her fantasy. Then she announced she was buying a house, a beautiful 4-bedroom colonial in Evanston, one of Chicago's most prestigious suburbs. $850,000. She'd applied for a mortgage and was waiting for approval. I knew she wouldn't qualify. Her credit score was terrible, her employment history spotty, her debt-to-income ratio astronomical. But I didn't say anything. Let her learn the hard way. 2 weeks later, she called me sobbing. The mortgage had been denied. The sellers were moving on. Her dream was dead. Worse, David's parents had been expecting to visit the new house. How could she face them? That's when I made the mistake, the one I've regretted ever since. I offered to help. I didn't tell her I'd buy it outright. That would have wounded her pride, invited questions about money I didn't want to answer, and created a dynamic where she owed me. Instead, I created a solution, an LLC, Barrett Property Holdings. I'd buy the house through the LLC, rent it to her at exactly what her mortgage payment would have been, and give her an option to purchase it in 5 years once her credit improved. To Rachel, it looked like the sellers had agreed to owner financing through a property management company. She signed a lease-to-own agreement without reading it carefully, paid her monthly rent, believed she was building equity toward eventual ownership. I even let her handle all the renovations, the decorating, the landscaping. Let her make it her own, because eventually I thought she would own it. This was temporary help, a bridge loan from a sister who had resources Rachel didn't. I charged her $3,200 a month, market rate, nothing discounted. I didn't want her to ever feel like charity, and honestly, the rental income was solid. The property was appreciating. It was good business regardless of the family connection. For 2 years, it worked. Rachel loved that house, posted photos constantly, threw elaborate dinner parties, told everyone about her amazing investment property, how she'd gotten in before prices skyrocketed, how smart she'd been to buy when she did. She never mentioned that it was technically a rental, never acknowledged that she didn't own it yet. In her mind, and in the story she told David's family, she was a successful homeowner, a woman of means, someone who'd achieved the American dream. I let her have that narrative. What did it hurt? She was happy. The arrangement was working. In 3 more years, she'd qualify for a real mortgage, buy me out, and actually own it. Everyone wins. Except Rachel started changing. The dinner parties became more exclusive, the guest list more curated. She stopped inviting our parents because our father's outdated wardrobe embarrassed her. She stopped inviting our cousin Maria because Maria's husband was a mechanic, not a professional. And slowly, she stopped inviting me. At first, it was subtle. "Oh, this dinner is just for David's colleagues. This party is couples only. This event is more formal than you'd be comfortable with." Then it became explicit. "Olivia, I love you, but you don't really fit with this crowd. Your lifestyle is so different from ours. It's awkward." My lifestyle, my modest apartment, my old car, my lack of designer labels and luxury vacations she could see. She had no idea that her lifestyle was funded by rent she paid to me, that her beautiful home existed because I'd written a check for $850,000 in cash, that her entire image was built on my silent support. And I still said nothing. Pride wouldn't let me correct her. If she wanted to believe she was more successful than me, fine. I didn't need her validation. But the Christmas text was different. That crossed a line. I drove to Evanston 3 days after receiving the text. Didn't call ahead, just showed up at 10 a.m. on a Saturday. Rachel answered the door in expensive athleisure, clearly heading to a yoga class. Her face cycled through surprise, irritation, and something like fear. "Olivia, I wasn't expecting you." "I know. We need to talk about Christmas. I already explained." "Let me in, Rachel." Something in my tone made her step aside. I walked into the house I owned, the house she'd painted a trendy gray, the house with the renovated kitchen I'd paid for through increased property value, the house where family photos lined the walls, photos that increasingly didn't include me. We sat in her living room. She perched on the edge of the couch, defensive. "David's parents are very traditional," she began. "They have specific ideas about family and I don't fit those ideas? You're single. You're in tech. You live in that tiny apartment. You drive that old car. Olivia, they're going to judge our whole family based on what they see. I need them to see success, stability. I can't have them thinking we come from nothing." "We do come from nothing, Rachel. Dad's a teacher. Mom's a bookkeeper. There's no shame in that." "There is when you're trying to fit into David's world. You don't understand the pressure. I understand that you're ashamed of your own family, including me." She had the grace to look uncomfortable. "I'm not ashamed. I'm just being strategic. This is important to my marriage, to my future. Surely you can understand that." "What I understand is that you're banning me from Christmas to maintain a lie about who you are and how you got here." "I'm not lying about anything. I worked hard for this house." "No, Rachel, you didn't." She blinked. "Excuse me?" I pulled out my phone, opened the Barrett Property Holdings app, showed her the property management dashboard. "This house, 2847 Maple Street, Evanston, Illinois. Purchased October 2022 for $850,000 cash. Owner, Barrett Property Holdings, LLC. Tenant, Rachel Barrett Thompson. Monthly rent, $3,200. Lease to own agreement, 5-year term. I watched the color drain from her face as she read, watched her eyes move from the screen to me and back again. What is this? This is the truth, Rachel. You don't own this house. I do. That's not possible. I signed papers. I have a mortgage. You have a lease to own agreement with my LLC. I bought this house when your mortgage fell through. I've been your landlord for 2 years. Every rent check you write goes into my account. She stared at me, processing, understanding. Then disbelief turned to anger. You've been lying to me? For 2 years? I haven't lied about anything. You never asked who owned the property management company. You assumed it was some corporate entity. I never corrected that assumption. You let me believe I owned this house. You told yourself you owned this house. I gave you a lease to own agreement with clear terms. In 3 more years, you can purchase it from me. Until then, yes, you're renting. Rachel stood up, pacing. David thinks I own this house. His parents think I own this house. Everyone thinks what you told them, Rachel. That's not my problem. Not your problem? You're my sister. You should have told me. Told you what? That I'm a multimillionaire? That I've been quietly successful while you've been performing success? Why would I do that when you've made it clear I'm an embarrassment to you? She stopped pacing. I never said that. You banned me from Christmas, in my own house, because I don't fit the image you're projecting. An image built on property I own. The irony wasn't lost on her. I could see it register. The beautiful home she used to impress people, the renovated kitchen she showed off, the garden she posted on Instagram, all of it owned by the sister she considered beneath her. What do you want? She asked finally. Why are you telling me this now? Because you need to understand something, Rachel. I helped you. I bought this house when you couldn't. I let you live here, build a life here, without ever asking for credit or gratitude, and in return, you've excluded me, belittled me, treated me like I'm not good enough for your new life. I didn't know. You didn't care to know. That's the difference. Rachel sat back down, her hands shaking. What happens now? That depends on you. Are you going to tell David? His parents? I considered it. The satisfaction of exposing her lies, of watching her perfect image crumble, of seeing the embarrassment on her face when the Thompsons learned the truth. But I'm not cruel. Just done. No, I'm not going to tell anyone anything. Your secrets are your problem, not mine. Relief flooded her face. But, I continued, I am making some changes, starting with Christmas. Her relief vanished. Olivia, please. I will be attending Christmas dinner, here, in this house, with our parents, who you've also excluded. Either you explain to David's parents that your family is joining, or you find somewhere else to host them. I can't do that. They're expecting a show, a performance. You've been playing a role, Rachel, and I'm done enabling it. Either you start being honest about who you are and where you come from, or you can find a new place to live. Your lease to own agreement has a clause. I can terminate with 60 days' notice if terms are violated. Excluding the property owner from reasonable use would qualify. It was a bluff, mostly, but she didn't know that. You'd evict me? Your own sister? You'd ban me from Christmas? Your own sister? Silence, heavy and uncomfortable. Finally, Rachel spoke, her voice small. I've worked so hard to fit into David's world. They have standards, expectations. If they see our real family, they'll what? Judge you? Rachel, if David's family can't accept where you come from, they don't deserve you. And if David can't stand up for you regardless of your background, he's not worth marrying. You don't understand. I understand perfectly. You're ashamed of being middle class. You're ashamed of our parents. You're ashamed of me. You've created this fiction where you're self-made and sophisticated, but it's exhausting, isn't it? Maintaining that lie. Tears filled her eyes. Real ones. Not the performative crying she did for sympathy. I just wanted them to respect me. Respect earned through lies isn't real respect. It's tolerance of a character you're playing. And eventually, Rachel, the truth comes out. Always. She wiped her eyes, smearing her expensive mascara. What do you want me to do? I want you to call Mom and Dad, invite them to Christmas, then tell David the truth, that this house is a lease to own, that you don't technically own it yet, that your family is working class and that's nothing to be ashamed of. Let him decide if he can handle reality. He'll be disappointed. If he's disappointed in the truth, he's not the right person for you. 3 days passed before Rachel called again. I told David, she said quietly, everything, about the house, about our parents, about the image I've been projecting. And? He was surprised, hurt that I'd lied, but not angry about our family. Actually, he said he was relieved. He's been nervous about impressing me. Thought I came from more money than his family. The pressure was making him anxious. I hadn't expected that. So he's okay with it? More than okay. He said he fell in love with me, not my portfolio. And he's been wanting to meet our parents. He thought I was keeping him from them for some reason. You were. Just not the reason he thought. Yeah. A long pause. Olivia, I'm sorry. For everything. For taking you for granted. For excluding you. For treating you like you were less than me when the whole time you were— Don't! I interrupted. Don't make this about the money. That's not the point. Then what is the point? The point is that families shouldn't have to earn your respect. That success isn't measured by the car you drive or the neighborhood you live in. That the people who love you deserve honesty, not performance. Another silence. Then softly, will you come to Christmas, please? I want you there, really there. Not just present. What about David's parents? David talked to them, explained that Christmas is family time and my family deserves to be included. If they have a problem with that, they can host at their own house. And? They're coming anyway. David's mother actually sounded excited to meet the successful tech entrepreneur sister. David apparently bragged about you. That surprised me. He knows about my career? I might have mentioned it, in the context of explaining that my family is more accomplished than I gave them credit for. A small smile tugged at my lips. Progress. So you'll come? I'll come, on one condition. Anything. You tell Mom and Dad the truth about the house, not to embarrass you, but because they deserve to know their daughter had help and that I was happy to give it. They're going to feel guilty about not being able to help me themselves. Let them feel it. Then let them see that it worked out anyway. That family helps family, no judgment, no strings, just support. Rachel agreed. Christmas at the house was nothing like Rachel had planned, and everything it should have been. Our parents arrived first, Dad in his comfortable old sweater, Mom carrying her famous green bean casserole. They knew about the house now, about my role. Dad hugged me tight and whispered, "Thank you for taking care of your sister." Mom just cried happy tears and said, "I always knew you were special." David's parents arrived shortly after, Thomas and Margaret Thompson, exactly as formal as I'd imagined. Expensive coats, practiced smiles, polite but reserved. But something interesting happened over dinner. Margaret asked Dad about teaching. He talked about his passion for helping struggling students. She mentioned her own father had been a teacher, that education was undervalued in society. Thomas talked business with me, learned about my tech career, asked insightful questions about software development and market trends, admitted his portfolio needed better tech exposure, and asked for recommendations. By dessert, the Thompsons were laughing at Dad's stories, complimenting Mom's cooking, and treating everyone like equals. Rachel pulled me aside while clearing dishes. "They like our family." "Of course they do. We're likable people." I wasted so much time being afraid. You did, but you're learning. That's what matters. David joined us in the kitchen, extended his hand to me formally. "Olivia, I owe you a tremendous thank you for the house, for supporting Rachel, and for pushing her to be honest with me." "I didn't do it for thanks." "I know, but you have it anyway. He smiled. Also, Rachel tells me you're her landlord. I'd like to discuss purchasing the property outright. I've been saving for a down payment, but if we could arrange owner financing, talk to your mortgage broker first, I suggested. You might qualify for traditional financing now. Rachel's credit has improved. Your income is strong. Don't lock yourselves into a deal with me if you can get better terms elsewhere. He looked surprised. You'd help us get out of the lease? I'd help you get into actual ownership, yes. That was always the plan. The lease to own was temporary. I want Rachel to really own this house, to build real equity, to have something that's genuinely hers. Rachel's eyes filled with tears. After everything I did, you're my sister. I'll always help you. But I won't enable you to pretend to be someone you're not. There's a difference. That was 6 months ago. Rachel and David closed on the house last month. Traditional mortgage, 20% down, their names on the deed. I sold them the property for exactly what I paid, $850,000, plus the cost of the kitchen renovation. No profit, just my original investment returned. I could have charged full market value, which had appreciated to nearly $1 million, could have made $150,000 profit. But that was never the goal. The goal was helping my sister build a real foundation. Not a fantasy, not a performance, something solid and true. She's different now, humbler, more genuine. She invites our parents to everything, introduces David's colleagues to my dad, the teacher, with pride instead of shame. And she calls me regularly. Not for money, not for help, just to talk, to share her life, to ask about mine. Last week she called with a question. Olivia, you've never told me. What's your actual net worth? I know you're successful, but you live so modestly. I smiled. Rachel, that's not a polite question. I know, but I'm curious, and I promise I won't treat you differently. I want to know who my sister really is. Fair enough. Current net worth, approximately $11.4 million, give or take. Silence. Then, Jesus Christ, Olivia. Yeah. And you live in a one-bedroom apartment. It's rent-controlled and walking distance to my office. Why would I leave? She laughed. Actually laughed. Because you could afford the penthouse I keep seeing you look at? Who says I'm not buying that? I just don't need to live in it. More silence. You bought the penthouse as an investment? Last month. It's appreciating nicely. Want to be my property manager? She laughed again, and it was real. Warm. The laugh of a sister who finally understood that success has nothing to do with the image you project and everything to do with the choices you make. My sister banned me from Christmas to impress her in-laws. She didn't know I owned her house. She didn't know I'd been supporting her dream while she pushed me away. She didn't know that the sister she considered unsuccessful was one of the wealthiest people she knew. But she knows now, and the difference it's made isn't in how she treats me, it's in how she treats herself. She stopped performing, started living, stopped pretending, started being honest. And our relationship? It's real now, built on truth instead of pretense, on mutual respect instead of judgment. I gave her a house. She gave me back my sister. That's a trade I'd make every single time. Thank you so much for watching. If this story touched your heart, please subscribe and hit the notification bell so you never miss an update. Your support truly means the world to me. And don't forget to share your thoughts in the comments. I love reading every single one of them. Each comment inspires me to keep creating stories for you. See you next time.